10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
Manchester
1,
United have
0.
reached the promised land.
Well, good morning, everybody. Well, he's messed up as well. He's a few minutes late. Apologies about the internet connection. There is nothing I can fucking do about the crappy internet connection, and I know it's not going to be very good for the start of this, so I apologize if the quality of the stream is down. As you can tell, I'm a little bit annoyed because there's nothing worse than working hard and the internet stopping you from working properly. But good morning to you. It's Tuesday, the 5th of April. We're here to talk about Pochettino. We're here to talk about Rooney wanting Pochettino. Rooney being very similar to Teddy Sheringham, to Nicky Butt, to Gary Neville. Why is it that all of the other ex-players want Pochettino? Why is it that the ex-players seem to have a different opinion to the fans? I don't know. All right, we can have this discussion in the comments because it seems to be like quite a clear divide between what Manchester United fans want and what the ex-players want. So I'm going to run through that in the comments with you this morning. I'm also going to run through my video that I did yesterday on the underwhelming. Underwhelming was the buzzword that was given. Apparently, that lots of these Manchester United players inside the squad feel that Erik ten Hag is an underwhelming choice as manager. So we're going to be speaking about that in the comments. We're going to be speaking about Julian Timber from Ajax, obviously the centre-back. He's been linked with Manchester United. We're going to be speaking about Erik ten Hag's second interview. Well, who's down here in the comments? Let's have a look down here. Anuj, Take of T, Jason, good morning to you. Member Gang, Fred Brown, good morning to you. Gary Cole, good morning to you as well. Andrew, Al, Fred, lots of you in the comments. Anthony, Paula, lots of you. As I said, I can only apologize about the internet. What I will also say is that I quite literally ordered brand new internet yesterday. I have no idea what this is. Quite literally plugged directly in via the Ethernet. It's not over Wi-Fi. There should be zero instability, but here we are. Basically, my internet represents Manchester United at the moment. Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit. But look, Wayne Rooney was on Monday Night Football last night, and he was speaking about the managerial situation, funnily enough, because it is the biggest talking point about Manchester United at the moment, isn't it? And it seems to be going from a day to day. Oh, look, the internet seems to have fixed itself. Isn't that lovely? Stupid goddamn thing. Anyway, as I said, I don't know why I get so annoyed about it. I think it's because, like, when you put all the effort and the work into getting everything properly and the quality good and everything set up, and then the internet just gives you two fingers and there's nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. But hey, I suppose that's what happens when you build a channel on the internet. But look, Wayne Rooney was on Monday Night Football last night. He was speaking about Pochettino. He was speaking about Ten Hag. He was speaking about Paul Pogba. We'll go into those comments too because they were definitely interesting. But Rooney is the latest ex-United player to put his hat in the Pochettino ring, or whatever you want to call it. That's not what it is. But look, this is what Wayne Rooney said. He said, I think Pochettino has done it in the Premier League. He knows the Premier League. And at Tottenham, he brought a lot of the players through. He did it at Southampton as well. If I'm choosing from one of the two, that's who I'd choose. He would need to be given time to place his blueprint on the club and on the team. If you give him time, I think he'd do well. So as I said, Rooney joins the likes of Nicky Butt, Teddy Sheringham, and Gary Neville. They're the ones off the top of my head. Are there any other players that I've missed, by the way? These like ex-United players who have said, yeah, I'd rather go for Poch instead of Ten Hag. Because there might well be more. But what's your take on this? As I said, what is it that the players see differently to the fans? Genuinely, I'll be very interested to know your opinions about that in the comments. Because why is it such a clear divide? Someone's saying Roy Keane and Paul Scholes. Yeah, Roy Keane, Paul Scholes as well. Jesus, yeah, you're right, actually. I don't really know. But for the life of me, I'll be really interested to know what you say about this in the comments. Because why is it that the players have such a differing opinion on the managers? Why do they all support Poch instead of Ten Hag? Is it literally because of Premier League experience? As I said, like we can talk about that before, and then the easiest comeback to that is Tuchel didn't have Premier League experience. Guardiola didn't have Premier League experience. You can only have Premier League experience once you've managed in the Premier League. It's not the measure of a great manager. Lots of you in the comments there saying taking the safe road. Apparently Rio said Rio too. It's odd. John, I would disagree with you down here in the comments, saying that he didn't do well at Tottenham. Pochettino massively overachieved at Tottenham. Let me sit back a little bit. There you go. He massively overachieved at Tottenham. He was never supposed to get Tottenham a Premier League title. He was never supposed to get Tottenham into the Champions League final. They weren't Tottenham's ambitions, really, when Poch came in. Poch gave the club those ambitions. So I think it's very unfair to say that he didn't succeed at Tottenham. And again, it's the same sort of, not really the same conversation, but also people like to say that Rangnick wasn't successful because he didn't win Bundesliga titles and he didn't win the Champions League. Rangnick built clubs from the bottom up. I've explained that before. So the measure of success is not merely defined by silverware. I know Manchester United's measure of success is defined by silverware, but that's because we feasted on silverware for the last 20 years. Well, not the last 20 years now, but ended in 2013 for the last 20 years leading up to that. That's why silverware is our greatest measure of success. But it's not Spurs's. Haven't won anything in, like 30 odd years. So for them to get to a Champions League final and be on the verge of a Premier League title was a very big success. So I don't agree with anybody in the comments that say that Pochettino wasn't a success at Southampton or Spurs simply because he didn't win any silverware. Nate, you're saying same ex-players who all loved Ole and slated Jose. Yep, that's a fair one there. Paul Ince, he's in the Poch camp too. Katz, you're saying Rooney's right. It's his opinion. I'm not saying either of the two is the right man, but I hope the board made the right decision. Of course, yeah, everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I just find it very curious. Very, very curious that as you've let me know in the comments there, so we've got Nicky Butt, Teddy Sheringham, Gary Neville, Wayne Rooney, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, Rio Ferdinand, all saying Pochettino. It's not as if there's like one player. I don't really get it. Gary, you're saying when Poch was the manager of Spurs, the Premier League wasn't as strong as it is now. He's old news, and they only want him because it's what they know. Again, I would semi-disagree with that. When Spurs were doing what they were doing in the Premier League, sure, Liverpool weren't there at the level that they're at right now, but City were definitely there. Chelsea were definitely there. The Premier League was still competitive. I would say it's tougher now. I would definitely say it's gone up a level. But again, I wouldn't try and downplay the successes and the achievements of Poch by saying that the Premier League is better now, because it is better now. But it's better now. Does that mean that Fergie's achievements back in the day aren't as impressive? No, it's just context, circumstances. Abby, nice to see you rejoining as a member there, my friend. Look, the internet's working fine now. I don't get it. I think it only happens really at the start of videos. It has like a big brain fart. Is that no, not working? Nah, not working. It goes, I've woken up now. I think my internet's just a bit lazy. It doesn't like mornings. Anthony, you can say, so they can say he wasn't my choice if it doesn't work out. Maybe Sibusa is laziness and a lack of information, fixated on the Premier League, and you don't pay much attention on anything else unless it's a big team outside of England. And Debbie, I apologize for you this morning saying, why is this shite? Why is this shite popped up on my Facebook? I apologize, Debbie. I like to think I'm improving your morning, but maybe not. Yeah, I just find it a bit odd, really. You would expect that one ex-player would say Ten Hag. How is it that 80% plus of United fans want to? And look, there's one thing I've always agreed with as to why at least part of everybody here wants Ten Hag, and it is the mystery of Ten Hag. It's the fact that we've seen Pochettino, we've watched him, we've witnessed him, we've seen what he's done right, we've seen what he's done wrong. And for Ten Hag coming, I was thinking about this before I went live, and I'm not. Obviously, it's on a completely different level, but it's kind of similar to the when Mourinho left Porto for Chelsea. He was obviously a treble winner at Porto, and he won the Champions League. So it's a very, very different thing. But before Mourinho had done it outside of Portugal, there were still question marks about whether Mourinho was going to be able to do it outside of Portugal. And he obviously built up a fierce reputation at that young age. Now, Erik Ten Hag is not a young man. He's 52. He's actually 2 years older than Pochettino. So for him to have not managed in the top divisions yet, that's a little bit strange, but it's just the way his career path has gone. And the thing that I've always talked about is trajectory. If we were to look at the career path and we were to plot Pochettino's career path on a graph, how boring would that be? But anyway, if you were to do that, he's sort of 2015 to 8, was it 2016 to 19 at Spurs was when he went like that. And then obviously he's gone down. and then it's gone down further with PSG, and he kind of reaching the situation we're in now. But then when you get Ten Hag and Ajax, it's just been a steady upward curve ever since he's gone to Ajax. But as I've said before, he won't be remembered for what he does at Ajax. He'll be remembered for what he does next. And that is probably the most exciting part of Ten Hag. I want him to do that at Manchester United. I think he'll do it no matter where he goes next. I don't need to repeat myself. As I said, we're kind of having to repeat ourselves because we're 3 weeks into the conversation and not much has changed on Ten Hag. I'll speak about the second interview that's coming up, but we all know that wherever he goes, if Pep was leaving Man City this year, we wouldn't be in with a chance of getting Ten Hag. I can guarantee you that he will be going to City. Done and dusted. So why is there such a different conversation for United? Nate, you'll say down here, okay, so my theory on why they all love Poch is because they know he'll want to keep all the players they like, i.e. Maguire, okay, McTominay short. By the way, you know what's something that's mad? McTominay's going to be 26 this year. I didn't even realise that. Lingard's going to be 30. Separate point there. But okay, that's a fair conspiracy theory, which is effectively what it is, but that's all we can do at this moment. Okay. Nick, how you doing down in the comments, buddy? You're saying they prefer Poch because they know him, not Erik Ten Hag. Biased opinion based on personal knowledge. Just like the fans want Ten Hag because we know Poch. It's quite funny. Now, Nick, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there, and I think it's what a lot of you are saying in the comments. And it's actually what Gary Neville admitted. I've told you that. Like, in his overlap video, he was admitting that the reason, I've worked with Poch for a week, hands-on. I've seen how Poch coaches. That's why my opinion. So Gary Neville basically ignoring all context of what's happened with Poch and what's happened at PSG, what Ten Hag has done at Ajax, is like his mindset is fixated on that 1 week that he spent with him and what he's seen firsthand and how he therefore applies that to what United need. So at least it's kind of being based on factual and what he's seen with his own eyes. But yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of you are probably right. I just find, as I said, I find it really a bit odd that every single ex-United player is Poch in. It's not as if they're split. It's not as if you got Gary Neville saying Poch, you got Rooney saying Poch, but Rio's like, oh no, I like what Poch did there, but I personally would like Ten Hag. They all say Poch in unison. It's very strange. Lawrence, you're saying in psychology, it can be referred to as familiarity bias. Yep. I've come across that term before. And yeah, it is a case of what you know and what you don't know. And let's be honest, what we've known and what we don't know hasn't exactly worked. Nothing's worked for Manchester United. So you can kind of take your familiarity bias out of it because we've had everything. We've had the man that was recommended by Fergie. We've had the man that we thought would be bring in as an experienced teacher, if you want to call him that. And ironically, he actually was an ex-PE teacher. And then we got in bed with the devil because none of those two worked. And then when you got in bed with the devil, you need to go to an Angels. And then we went to the person who's going to put his arm around our shoulder as a club, and that was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And now we find ourselves in this position with Radnick in for 6 months. And it's, as I said, I don't know where the indecision is coming from. All we can do is speculate. Because the indecision is either coming from John Murtough, who's leading. John Murtough really is leading the push for our new manager. So it's either down to John Murtough and Darren Fletcher where the indecision is coming, or the indecision is coming because they keep going back. I just don't think they're going to be having that many conversations with Joel Glazer. See, look, I was going to pull this up later, but I'll pull this up now. May as well. This is the latest article from The Athletic this morning on Ten Hag and Poch. But there's nothing in there in terms of new information. It's kind of an opinion piece. And looking at, remember when we did that video here on United People's TV, we looked at the pros and the cons. It's effectively what this article from Laurie Whitwell is doing on them. But look, it's the last line in here, which we all have to really, I suppose, remember. And I don't want to remember, but it's the truth. It's this line down here, big old article. The final choice will need approval from Joel Glazer after a recommendation by Murtough. So in my opinion, I don't think it's gone up to Joel Glazer yet. It doesn't strike me that John Murtough is going to be going to and from Joel Glazer like on a week-by-week basis. I don't particularly think that will happen. You don't go to your boss do you? You don't go to your boss with an idea unless you're firm and you're set in your idea. You don't keep going to your boss and say, well, what do you think about this? And getting his opinion. He's a boss. You don't really speak to the boss that much apart from the final tick. So I don't really think this is indecision from Joel Glazer. I think this is indecision from John Murtough, from Darren Fletcher, and Manchester, the powers that be that are making the decision inside Manchester United's board. Now, Woodsy here is saying that Murtough is the problem. He needs to go. Again, we don't know that. But certainly a fear that I've got there, based on that correct line, that Joel Glazer will be doing the final sign-off, is that Joel Glazer... Who do you think Joel Glazer's got more of an eye on? Is he going to be listening to what the fans are saying? The fans that he's fucking ignored for 15, 16 years. The fans that he's ignored since the European Super League last year, openly lying to us. Or is he going to listen to the ex-players that are all in unity saying Pochettino? I do not think we can rule out. I know that all the latest suggests that Ten Hag is the favourite on paper. And that's because I think Ralf Rangnick is pushing the Ten Hag case from internally more than anything. And when you weigh things up and you weigh them alongside each other, I think it makes perfect sense. But there's definitely some... This is where the indecision is coming. I think if all these ex-United players were saying Ten Hag, he'd probably already be our manager. But it's that split that you see between the media and the fans. And as I said, who's Joel Glazer going to pay more attention to? Rooney, Ferdinand and Neville, or the fans that he's ignored for 15, 16 years? I think we all know who we'd probably support, and that's probably the ex-players. Joel Glazer simulating both scenarios on Football Manager. The decision will be made after he simulates 10 seasons. We're going to get relegated then, my friend. Stephen Lawrence, you think he's going to go for Poch? Chuby, you're saying Poch and Ten Hag are really good coaches, but it's better to get a brand new ride than going for a second-hand used Toyota. Hey, sometimes you can get nice second-hand cars, my friend. So I know the analogy is there, but as I said, I've made my opinion on Poch and Ten Hag based on facts, Benitez, circumstances, context. I've taken everything into account. That's what we should be doing. That's what John Murtough should be doing. And if they did that, that's why Ten Hag is the clear and obvious choice. Because when you do that, there really is only one kind of candidate. But it's when you start letting emotions get into those decisions, when you start letting, you said in the comments there, favoritism bias, and you start listening to these ex-players who are just shouting names out, it's odd. It's just a huge pile of indecision. That's all it is at Manchester United. And we've seen it plenty of times before. We've seen it over players. We've seen it over contracts. We're seeing it over managers. Now we're seeing it over the... Do you think I'm going too far when I say this is... I suppose every single time you get a new manager, it's the most important managerial choice you've made. But I would say post-Fergie, replacing Fergie with Moyes, that was a hugely important decision that we fucked up completely. But I'm not sure anybody could really have succeeded. I'm sure we could have made a better choice there. If we're being completely honest and we had swallowed our pride and we got Mourinho in then, geez, we may have won straight away. But no United fan was prepared after Fergie because we were sitting on our high horse after Fergie and we were looking down at Mourinho going, we're better than you. We're better than you. 3 years later, we're like, come on, Jose, come in. Please, I'm sorry. Apologize. That was a bad decision. But this decision now, where it genuinely feels like the club could actually change, properly U-turn and shift its direction if we get the right manager in. Don't know. It's a massively significant appointment. Ian, you're saying you're bringing a consultant like Ralf Rangnick into an organisation because you know you need to change it. As a consultant myself, humble brag, listen to them or waste your money going nowhere. Ex-players are stuck in the past. Yeah, I think it's a familiarity bias. Is that what you call it? I can't remember what the word was. Yeah, it's because of what they know. It's because of what they've seen. Yeah, because let's be honest, like Rooney's an extremely busy man. Rooney is managing a Derby side which had started the season with 8 players, have had like a 12-point deduction. They're in a relegation scrap. He's focused on what he's doing in his job, and he's doing a good job. might fall a little bit short, but again, that's down to the situation at Derby. He's doing a good job, doing a better job than I think we all can. He hasn't got time to go and watch Ajax, apart from the Champions League games, and all he's seen is them get knocked out in the round of 16 to Benfica. So that's where his opinion's coming from. At the same time, you can say that Poch got knocked out by Real Madrid in the round of 16. I don't know, man. I don't know. It seems so clear and obvious for fans at this point as to why Ten Hag is the favourite and why it just makes sense. But United just are not. It seems like we're not in a hurry to make this decision, which I get, which I kind of stand beside. You know, I'd rather United didn't jump in to the deep end without fully exploring it. But it's just starting to get a bit weird. Why does Joel Glazer need to decide this? I mean, Abby, I understand the logic behind that, but you know exactly why. He owns the club. Of course, it doesn't matter how involved he is or whether he's the guy who's going to give the sign-off on the check. He's the boss. The boss man will always make the decisions, whether he's involved in the decision-making process or not. And by the looks of it, he's not. It's just going to be a final envelope that's given to Joel Glazer that's going to have either Erik ten Hag's name in or Pochettino's name in. That's it. That's the only involvement he's going to have. And you're saying, Sam, we can't completely dismiss their intimate knowledge of the club, the structure, and the Glazers themselves. They might have a better idea who will fit. We all know Erik ten Hag has had a good structure. Yep, okay, that's a fair point. I don't know, man. Just starting to lose a bit. I don't know how to describe it anymore. Like, I'm just fucking bored of banging my head against a brick wall as a fan. Just like, and I'm not talking about the impatience behind not getting Ten Hag in, because that's down to an opinion. I've stood by it, and I stand by the fact that I know that Pochettino will probably be a good manager for Manchester United, and I think we would improve under him. I just think we would be on a better trajectory under Erik ten Hag, but I'm just bored of United being a bit of a laughing stock, really. I think we all expected a bit of a slope post Fergie, but the slope just has kept getting steeper and steeper downwards, and we've had plenty of false dawns. And I'll be honest, I think that game against the biggest false dawn was getting to the Europa League final under Solskjaer, because I think had we won that game, I think we really would have seen a massively different United going into this season. Massively different. That was the beginning and the end for it there. Poch playing style is not attractive, says Kent. Look, Poch has really struggled. We all know the Poch system and the Poch, if you want to call it a philosophy, you can call it philosophy. It hasn't worked at PSG. When you've got three players who are your attackers that are Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe, and they all expect to play every single game, no matter how good their form is, no matter how bad their form is, and they all have different styles of play, none of which really suit the Pochettino system that he built at Spurs and Southampton. It's like, obviously it's not worked for Poch at PSG. In the same way it didn't work for Unai Emery, in the same way it didn't work for Thomas Tuchel, and both of those have gone on to win European Cups. Not European Cups, but Unai Emery won the Europa League, Tuchel won the Champions League. European trophies for both of them after they left PSG. PSG is just an expensive pick and mix. And it's just, I'm not sure it's ever, I mean, if it's going to work under anybody, it'll work under Zinedine Zidane. What he did there at Real Madrid was nothing short of phenomenal. And it seems like he could probably get PSG playing how they want to play. So I think if they're going to have success, it's going to be under Zidane. But, man, it's been football's football, eh? It's not that football's tough as a United fan, because as I said, like, we've had far more glory and success than many teams will ever have. But it's just shit watching your club just slope downwards constantly, and the people holding the life jackets, the Glazers, and they don't want to throw them out. They never want to throw them out. It's like they're on the first boat on the Titanic, letting everyone else drown, whilst they just stroll away. There's like nine seats on their boat, but they don't want that. They don't want to let the paupers in the boat. It's just their boat on their own. Dre down here, old Doc. As fans, we know what the club needs, but also as fans, we know what the club will do. About time we get used to the idea of Poch as our new manager. I absolutely agree that we know what Manchester United, well, at least previously anyway. Feels like I need to get my glasses. I need to this is a proper therapy room at the moment, isn't it? United, and this came out yesterday, and I tell you what, I think this just struck a nerve with me. It's the video that I did on this idea that Manchester United's dressing room was split over the appointment of Erik ten Hag. Now, I know that someone like Samuel Luckhurst and Manchester Evening News may well be jumping on top of a situation and taking advantage of it and spreading some stories. But this is not the first time we've heard of anything like this before at all, man. There's no smoke without fire, and stories like this have constantly been leaking all season long about underwhelming, about players being underwhelmed, about Rangnick, about players being underwhelmed by Solskjaer's tactical ability, and then a person who comes in who's got huge tactical ability, and they're like, well, now we're going to start blaming something else. So the idea that these United players are underwhelmed by the idea of Ten Hag coming in, it just pissed me off. It really annoyed me. Talk about pot kettle black. Like, none of these United players have any right at all to call anybody else underwhelming, given how they play football and how they have played football and how we have played football for like 8 years. I can't be asked. And I genuinely it's made, I don't know, it's really confused me because I think I remember 12, 18 months ago, maybe, I was like, I really feel connected to this. Finally, I feel connected to this team again. There was players in there that I could sort of I don't know. I felt like I had a bit of a connection back to United. And all of a sudden, 12, 18 months later, it's just been absolutely screwed up and tossed out the window. And that's how far we've dropped. That's what I mean. That was the false dawn that hurt the most. When you looked at that team and you had a little bit of a connection there under Solskjaer, a little bit of connection with the players, you thought, all right, I can see what we're doing. It might not work every week, but I can see what we're doing. We're getting towards it. And then we're here again. We're here again. And what do you reckon? Do you reckon it's a similar sort of thing as to why some of these Manchester United players might want Pochettino over Ten Hag? It's a familiarity thing. They know what they would get with Poch. Obviously, Luke Shaw would love it. He's worked under Poch. It's like high five. I just want what's best for United as a football club. And for me, what's best as a football club now is listening to Ralph Rangnick, listening to the 4-point plan, which I'm doing a video later today on Rangnick's plan. Okay. He's detailed it out. And my God, we got to listen to him, man. Stop getting stuck in the fucking past, United. Stop listening to people who are not in a position to be listened to, who don't have the credentials, who don't have the experience. Manchester United have reached a point now. We've reached a point that's so low that someone like Ralph Rangnick, who has experience of building clubs up, like Hoffenheim, like Leipzig. I'm not saying that we're anywhere near the size of Leipzig or Hoffenheim. We're far bigger than that. It's a much grander and bigger project. But it's now a project. City and Liverpool are just, every year, we get further away from them. I'm like, how the fuck do you manage doing that? And you're doing it while spending an absolute shit ton of money. It's embarrassing. It's not about the lack of investment at the moment. But it's like we've got 10 TVs in the house and no PS5 to plug into them. What's the point? You're just not buying the right things. Not buying the right things at the right time. That's what United have done wrong for so long. That's got to get sorted. But we need the man at the helm to take that forward, in my opinion. And at this point, it's down to an opinion on Ten Hag. I think it should be Ten Hag. Chirai, what are you saying down here, sir? Club might be releasing player unrest stories in order to appoint Poch. Players might not be involved at all. I'm only speculating. Yeah, cool. That's fair enough speculation. I don't imagine United will be cutting off the nose to spite the face sort of thing. I don't think there'll be any sort of... That won't be coming from an internal point of view. That's just my opinion. Glazers have done an amazing job ruining Manchester United and bringing United down. Look, Fergie, for everybody who didn't truly know what a genius Fergie was, we've now witnessed it in the last 8 years. And Fergie always was a genius anyway. But for him to have maintained that level of success under their ownership, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And did it more than once as well. Let's go down here and read a few more of your comments out here. Hey, look, please drop a like on the video. I apologize about the internet start of the video. I was a bit annoyed, actually. So what can I say? But the new internet got an installation date of a couple of weeks' time. So we've only got a couple more weeks to go. And hopefully this new one will solve all our problems. Just won't solve any of Manchester United's problems. From a very likable squad to a very disliked team in just under 6 months. Weird how that shit works. Nick, I need to find out exactly when that was because I remember it. I think Gary Neville did. I think it was like a post-match thoughts he was doing, and he was just like, "Yeah, I can't remember what game it was. There was a specific game where you just, I don't know, there's just something clicked. Something felt like, oh, okay, I'm a step closer to feeling connected to this United team again." And that was always such a thing that we lost under Mourinho and under Van Gaal and under Moyes. Like, it was United, but it always felt like there was a glass panel between you and United. And it was just, you're just not that close. Jeez. Harry, you're saying, do you think Rooney wants Poch because he wants to take over if Poch gets sacked? No, I don't think so. I don't think Rooney's going to be coming. As I said, Rooney's doing a very good job at Derby, but Rooney needs to, his ultimate, if Rooney's, and he already said this, Rooney said his ultimate ambition is to manage Manchester United. I like that. He's got his 5-year plan in place, but it has to be a 5-year plan. He's got to go from Derby to a team which is now competing. Someone like QPR, who's now on the edge. They're doing pretty well under Mark Warburton, so probably not them. But a team that's right on the edge, sitting, that normally finishes around 6th, 7th in the Championship, get them promoted. That's what he needs to do. Leeds was a big one, 5-1 at home, 5-1. Yeah, you might be right there. And Neil, send it over. Thank you very much. I could take that. It's just the way that football works, isn't it, man? Just the way that football works. How you, I don't understand how United have let that scale of the scale of that slip is just huge. As I said, to go from that connection that we all started having as fans again, which takes it takes a long time to build that, man. You've got to sign the right players. You've got to start playing in the right way. You've got to have the players saying the right things and doing the right things on the pitch. To where we are now. Wow. Nick, I'll tell you what, that is an absolute spot on call. That's going to happen, isn't it? Although I think Everton are lucky because they're just, the bottom is so shit. I think they might just scrape it. Let's have a go. Look down here in the comments. Look, this is very much a therapy session today. I think I'm just answering more comments than normal. I don't know why. I think I'm just a bit. I felt it when I was researching for the video this morning. I was just like, there's not really much point in having another conversation about Ten Hag or Poch, other than, as I said, the Rooney conversation, and that's what we've done today because not much has been said. There's no update to give you. You know, there's reports coming out yesterday about Ten Hag having his second interview this week. Not Ten Hag himself, but Ten Hag's representatives with Manchester United. Hopefully that goes well, and I'm sure it will. And we already had this conversation before about what would the conversation really be in that second interview. And maybe it'll be about the players that he'd sign, about what he'd want, I think it'd be more about the announcement. How would Erik Ten Hag and Ajax like the announcement to go down if it was to happen? And I'll tell you one thing that really pissed me off yesterday as well is Crystal Palace absolutely annihilating Arsenal. 3-0. Cruising. Great game from Patrick Vieira's doing a fantastic job at Crystal Palace. I said from day one that I wanted Donny van der Beek to go there on loan and not Everton. Instead, Donny's stuck in a relegation scrap with a team that looks lost. He should have gone to Crystal Palace, but he didn't. Oh, well. They're looking very good. Arsenal, looking like they could just do another Arsenal. And Spurs obviously got the advantage now. But Arsenal still got to go away. I think their game in hand is away at Chelsea. They're not winning that. Obviously, we've still got Liverpool and everything to play. But if we had just won that game against, even that game against Leicester, we'd be 1 point behind Spurs, I think. I don't know where we'd be, but we'd be right in there with the chance in that top four. And I know technically on paper we still have, but we've got to play Everton away on Saturday. I'm telling you that we're drawing against Everton. Say right now, predicting a score draw in that game. Everton are going to be bang up for that game. They've got such a good record against United over the last few years at Goodison Park, and they're going to be hoping for 3 points here. Vijay saying, not a fan of player power, but setting up in 4-4-2, 4-2-2, or 4-2-4 with Pogba and Bruno as your strikers is going to make you lose faith in you. Ole got second and third with this lot. Ralph has flopped. See, that's where I would strongly not point my fingers towards Ralph Rangnick. Seriously. These players in that first game against Crystal Palace, first game, 30 minutes, they showed that they had the tactical discipline and the intelligence and the ability to play Rangnick's style of football. And he's built teams in that style. After that, for 60 minutes, they were puffing out their ass. They couldn't do it. He's like, I'm only here for 6 months. It would probably normally take me around about 6 months to... You saw what happened with Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. How long did it take them? 6 season-ish? To get that style of play really inside that squad and it working because you work at it. There was so much goodness in that first game against Crystal Palace, and if we had time, Rangnick would have built on it. Instead, he's like, right, let's be logical about this. I'm only here for 6 months. I can see that it works there, but these players don't have the fitness for that. That's not going to work. Right, let me switch to a 4-4-2. That didn't work either. Let me just play what they know, 4-2-3-1. Started to play okay. Not the greatest. Switch to a 4-3-3. That's when it's starting to improve, with McTominay seemingly improving as a number 6. Ultimately, United falling short. And I'm not saying that that Ralph is exempt from criticism. Nick down here saying Ralph did disappoint me a bit as a manager, although I have real confidence in his rebuilding skills as a consultant. Ralph's measure of success between when he came in as interim manager and the end of the season was not silverware. It was not silverware. It was laying the table for the next manager coming in. Now, I don't think that's been done to the greatest extent, but I don't think these players are all pulling in the same direction. If Ralph Rangnick's like the cocks at the end of a big long rowing boat and the whole Man United squad is on it, how many of those United players are putting the oar in unison, like the Oxford boat race? They're not. Everyone's just doing it at different times. Someone's facing the wrong way. Someone's thrown their oar away and are playing, watching TV instead. Just this United team's not pulling in the same direction at the same time with the manager and what the manager is asking them to do. That won't change immediately when a new manager comes in. I hope it does. I don't think it will. But I don't know. I'm just fucking done. I'm just done by watching these United players have just sucked it out of me. I'm sure they've sucked it out of you as well. But the Leicester game was exactly what we didn't want it to be and exactly what we thought it could be. Not surprised, but disappointed, like most parents say. My parents said to me, 70% of the problem, says Brian, has been the players all along. Go figure. Let's go there. Ralph has not failed us. The players have failed us. Ralph threw them a new plan. They tried it, realized it was hard work and bottled it. They just did not have the ability to the fitness and the up there. They didn't have it up there, man. And Mourinho said it, 4 or 5 years ago? He was talking about the lack of intensity that these players have. Ralph said, look, we've got a shit ton of technical players. In FIFA, this team's the business. Absolute business. Wicked through balls from Pogba and Bruno. Ronaldo still got the pace on there. Sancho down the wing. You're like, woo! Yes, please. Technical ability, this squad's got it in abundance. But sheer metal, put them in a ring, a pair of boxing gloves on, 90% of this squad is losing that fight. It's just they just don't have it in them. And this is what Ralph means when Ralph's talking about the DNA of players. He's not talking about the United way, and I don't even know what the United way is anymore. But if a player doesn't have that natural hard-working mentality, it's very hard to instill that into a player. That's why Andy Robertson was such a good signing for Liverpool. 8 million, was it 8 million from Hull? Because you saw the Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool saw the characteristics of that player. They were like, okay, well, he's decent enough at Hull. He's not the most incredible player, but I can improve how he is as a footballer. I can't teach him how to work fucking hard. That's a natural thing. That's what he means by DNA. And that's the DNA that United just do not have. We've got tons of people who have all this incredible ability, but talent is nothing without attitude. It really, really is. And it's what I mean. You have, as a United fan, you have to start sounding like a cliche machine, because just none of those things apply to anything that happens inside Manchester United at the moment. Or what are you saying in the comments, mate? Judge Rangnick on his backroom role, not his managerial role. He literally came in and tried to polish the shit at the club. He literally had no transfers. My fear is that basically the fear that everybody had all along, that Rangnick may leave before he even does that consultancy role. And that's the role I've been excited about. I want to see him being the architect, the man behind the scenes that's putting the strings, the Geppetto of the rebuild, if you want to call it that. I suppose that makes Ten Hag or Poch to put the Pinocchio. Don't really care. But look, technically we're in a top 4 race. Crystal Palace thumping Arsenal last night means that if we go and win against Everton on Saturday, maybe things can change. But then after that, we've got to play Norwich at home. Again, we should be beating Norwich at home. Simple as, but this is United. We should have been beating Watford at home, and that was a 0-0. Jeez. Should be beating Watford away, and that was 4-1. We're technically in the top 4 race, but realistically, part of my heart, not right, just part of me is like, nah, fuck it, the season's gone. And definitely, I guarantee that's represented in the players now, because fans' feelings represent what you see on the pitch. If we gave everything against Leicester and we just came a bit short, you know, like I suppose we did against Burnley or Southampton, you know, they were frustrating as hell. Yeah, but we were creating chance after chance. You're like, I still felt at that time at some point we were going to pump a team, and we still haven't fucking pumped the team. I don't know, man. I don't know. Madhouse saying, great honest show, mate. So far, you're the truth, son. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. But yeah, look, man. It's the big thing I've liked the most about Ralph Rangnick is his honesty. No smoke and mirrors. He says it how it is, and I will always say it how it is. I'm not going to come in here and title the video that Ten Hag is close, because Ten Hag is no closer today than he was yesterday. He's going to be having his second interview this week, all right? And I hope to God that United choose him. I'm not going to be surprised if they don't, though. As I said, we spoke about that at the start of the video. I do find it odd that Rooney, that Rio, that Scholes, that Keane, that Neville, that Butt, that Sheringham, they're all in the Poch camp. They're all in the Poch camp. I'm just surprised that there isn't one that isn't in the Poch camp. It's really, really weird. I find it odd. Hey, look, if anybody's got any more questions, fire them in the comments now for the next minute or two. And if you would, please consider drop a like on the video. I had loads of other talking points I was going to run through today, but I'll tell you what, legitimately, this has just been just like an interactive get it off your chest session, I suppose. But that's kind of what Manchester United are driving us towards. It's, I don't know. It's such an important decision that we get next, or there's going to be the disconnection that you've got now is going to be exacerbated massively if Manchester United don't get this. Stop fucking slipping. Start acting like you're one of the greatest clubs in the world, which we are. Stop acting like you don't know what you're fucking doing, like you're organising a stag do when you're drunk. I don't get it, man. I mean, I do get it. Obviously, I get it. When you're owners of the Glazers, everything, the culture and the attitude and the approach comes from the top down. Whatever they do, it trickles down into the rest of the club. And the Glazers don't give a crap. The Glazers don't fulfill their promises. The Glazers lie to everybody. And the Glazers just don't give a crap. And there are a lot of characteristics there that you can apply to that playing squad, that you can apply to all these players here. Ricky, look, I did start doing that at the end of these shows. But what I will do from now on is, as I said, I'm building towards some new content. At this moment in time, I've got a new computer coming because I want to make sure that nothing goes wrong. So that's coming. I'm going to get that sorted. We've got a new camera coming. As I say, I've always do say, anything that you guys help with on the channel in terms of being a member on Facebook or YouTube or your super chats, I'll just put it all back into the channel. I do reinvest. I'm not like the Glazers. I don't lie. So the new computer's coming. We've got the new camera coming. And once all that's set up, then we're going to be moving towards the new content starting for members only. Going to start doing the regular call-in show once a week. I'll probably do a Q&A once a week as well. I can't wait to start launching those. But they are coming. Don't worry about that. But look, I'm going to close the doors. Actually, no, I'm going to read a few more here. You should open the arms after the games to drown our sorrows. No, but Jesus Christ, we will really, really drown our sorrows there. Next purchase for the sofa, a red sofa to lay on. And maybe like a big necklace with a big diamond in the middle. I'm getting my boobs out. You can paint me like one of those French girls. That was a Titanic reference. Everyone's seen that, right? Surely. I don't know. If not, it'd be a bit weird. But look, thank you very much for tuning into the Red Therapy sessions today. I hope you've enjoyed your stay. I'll be here tomorrow, as always, hopefully with some Ten Hag. Actual news? I don't know. Let's see what's going on here. But look, I think everyone's just... I feel like I fairly represent a lot of United fans. We're all just a bit... You're kind of running out of steam. You're running out of things to say. It's Groundhog Day. It's like, shit, we go again. And those false dawns and what you thought we were going to see, it just hasn't happened. At some point, we've got to start getting some decisions right. Hopefully with a new manager, whoever that may be. But look, thank you very much for joining in. Make sure you stay tuned later. I'm going to have my video out on the Ralph Radnick plan. He's been very vocal about his plan. This is what he's telling United's board. This is what I want them to listen to. So I'm going to do a video on that. But yeah, thank you very much, everybody. And I'll speak to you soon. And new internet in 2 weeks. Yay!